welcome to Marilyn Horse again. Been a busy week, going to be a busy week next week. The weeks are getting busy. Well,
Yes.
tell me, the older we get, does time go quicker?
Well, it does though, doesn't it? But then I have to say, my kids say that as well. But and it's not. It's weird because it does feel that it's going quicker. And I'm busy. You're busy, so it would feel like time's going quicker. But I always thought it did. I never had, you know. I would have thought for older people it would feel like it's going slower because not many people are as active as you are at your age. And I just think, oh my god, here we are, Saturday again. Yeah.
I've had a compliment like that in a long time.
Yeah, I'll
You
see.
spoilt it by saying at my age, but there you go. Can't
21,
have everything.
21. But
21.
I feel no, I mean, I never stop. You never stop. And I think, yeah, that's probably why time goes so quickly, because I always find I'm sort of trying to chase a cloud or something. I don't know. But I mean, you'd think that people are in their 70s, 80s, whatever, that it would go slower, because I mean, a lot of people are not so mobile or mentally alert.
It's the loneliness maybe that does it.
I probably, yeah, that makes it go slower. Or yeah, probably right. Yeah, because your life is full, my life is full, and so time whizzes past.
Well, there you go. Don't complain. Well, you won't one day.
But I know, I mean, you're a long time dead, aren't you?
Oh, let's get more cheerful. And let's, well, I say cheerful. Let's go to the educational world, both sides of the pond, because I think we've got a similar problem. And the problem is you can no longer fail. We've just had some stats from the US saying, well, freshers, new university entrants over there, about 2 to 5% fall out. That's a darn sight better than the UK, I'll tell you. But they're complaining. And they're also raising the fact that dropping out, you've got to have had an equality reason for dropping out or a mental health reason so that you're not a failure.
I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean, you have to learn to fail. You have to not everybody is going to go yes, yes, yes. You know, you're going to fail at a relationship. Maybe you might have 2 or 3 partners before you get married. You have to learn to fail. What is it? Who was it that said treat success and failure in the same way or something? Who was it? Someone famous.
Yes, I know the phrase. I don't know the exact word.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it. Yeah, but basically, you've got to. I can remember when my eldest son, and funnily enough, my grandson, his son is very similar. He didn't want to do things that he thought he might not be good at. Right. And so I chose him something that was difficult. So I mean, all my kids had to do a sport and they all had to do music, right? Even if they didn't go forward with it, they had to do some sort of youth activity, right? And they could choose what it was, but they had to do it because that's all part of a grounded, rounded child, I thought. So I thought, right, okay. And he did like guitar music. So I bought him this beautiful guitar. I mean, going back then, it was £500. I mean, and he found it quite difficult. And I thought, oh, good. Because he had to stick at it. And he was really, I don't want to do this. I said, no, you only don't want to do it because it's hard. And it is hard. But you've got to have the tenacity and the resilience to roll with the punches. And that's what is not happening anymore. The children are not being brought up that, despair and I wish I could remember who it was that said it, but it's basically you give it the same respect or lack of respect. It's an important part of your development.
It is, and the figures are worse this side of the pond, and it's very difficult how to bring it back. I mean, it all started with that dreadful phrase of child-led education. And in other words, the little ones can tell the big ones.
Montessori? You mean Montessori?
Yeah, that's his famous schools, of course. What did they? Well, there's lots of schools from the 60s that turned out quite well. but because they went OTT, it just didn't work. But they gave us little bits of truth, let's say, but not the whole truth. So yeah, there's the Montessori education bit. How far do we go with that? In the family, for instance, do we let the children do what they want, the liberal way of bringing up the kids? All started in the late 50s and 60s, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think there are. I think some of this does go back to what we say. It goes back to parenting. I think the snowflake generation, as you call them, I don't know what you call it, Gen Z or whatever it is, where your child cannot fail or fall, and it's ridiculous. You're not. There's going to be some. You're not going to get every job that you apply for. You're going to be rejected. That's what I'm trying to, this is what you also have to cope with, the fact you will be rejected. It's unlikely that you're going to go through life without being rejected, and you should learn from it. And also, if you fail at something, what have you learned? Were you no good at it? Did you not study hard enough? What did you learn? What are you going to do? Should you just give it up and do something in replace of that? But that's part of life.
It is. I tell you what, the new trillionaire, Elon Musk himself, can't think of numbers like that. What's a trillion? Well, it's 1,000 billion. Well, yes, 12 noughts if you wish, but it's a lot of dosh. Now, he had allegedly Asperger's. Yes, well, he's a genius. There are limitations, no doubt, with his Asperger's if he has it, but allegedly he has.
But he's neurodiverse, isn't it? It's like autism. You're on the spectrum. So to what degree does he have it? I mean, if you're
exactly
on the far end of it, then you have incredible difficulty with relationships and anything that is a change. I can remember teaching a boy that was really had Asperger's quite badly. And in music, if anything was a surprise, I had to go through, it was such a pain. Every session, lesson, I'd say, well, these are the instruments today. So this is what this is what it sounds like, blah, blah, blah. And everything had to be explained. And, you couldn't have suddenly someone doing something with a drum or something. Go off on one, But, and he did struggle with relationships. But then I think people who've got autism, autism it's almost like a superpower. If you're functioning, he is obviously a highly functioning person. If he's got Asperger's, he's highly functioning with it. And if you're a highly functioning autistic person, you can achieve masses. You can be, but he's definitely, I think, on the spectrum, because he's a little out there, isn't he?
Well, it's a strange thing. We've had a number of people within our company that we've trained how to edit. Now, editing is a great it's a combination of absolute discipline and flair at the same time. It is extraordinarily difficult, and you've either got it or you haven't. And when we took these people on, there were a number of them, we thought, because they want everything in order.
Yes.
Arranged. And if it's not, then it upsets them. It
does. It does.
And certainly, I would think a good half of them turned out to be good editors.
Yes.
So there you go. You can overcome. But going back to...
look, you remember that one of the first people I ever interviewed with Heart and Soul was Peter Garsden. And Peter Garsden, he discovered when he was in his 60s that he had autism, which actually answered an awful lot of searching questions for his wife. But he had the ideal job, because he is child abuse lawyer of the year on year. But being a lawyer in that sort of field for child abuse and reading documents and presenting in court and all that absolutely required the devil is in the detail. And he was really good at that. And he said, I realize now why I was so good at it, because, I had to have order, and even to the way he packed a suitcase. Bizarre. They had a massive row over it, apparently. That
Well, it would drive me round the bend, that
when people are she's like me. He's like me. I roll my clothes up, right? Because I think I can get more in the case, right? She is a lay it flat person, right? And they had this massive rat. In fact, she walked out and left him for 6 months.
No.
Yeah, I can't cope with this because he said, leave, this is my suitcase, do your own. You don't understand.
Yeah, certain things are exaggerated and become meaningful for the individual.
Yes.
Whereas
yes.
I'm going to say normal, perhaps I shouldn't, a person would say, well, what does it matter?
Well, that's what she was saying. But in his mind, it's some of these things as well, sort of almost cross over to OCD, don't they? With that as well, because that's another one that is, you've got to have it absolutely right. Oh, God. I mean,
thinking of Elon and his rocket, and he failed miserably in the early days, and he was piling money after money into it. He was determined to use the casing of the rocket. It usually blows off into space and comes down in bits, and is costing a fortune for NASA, as an example. And he thought, well, thinking out the box, which these people are good at, let's use it again and make sure it comes down to Earth backwards and to the original launch pad. It can't be done, you stupid.
Yeah.
Well, of course, he's a physicist. He knows a bit better than most people. And after the first disasters, he could have given up, but he didn't. And seeing this rocket coming down to Earth, firing its engines to get it exactly in the right place, is still jaw-dropping for me.
Oh, unbelievable.
He persevered.
You couldn't believe what you were watching. This can't be right. This must be AI or airbrushing or something like that.
Yeah, but it's the real stuff.
No, he's a genius. He's a genius. But I mean, he has had many relationships. He's fathered lots of children, hasn't he?
Well, you can understand why when you talk this way, don't you?
Yeah. How big is your wallet?
Yes. Well, oh my goodness me. Well, we move on quickly or slowly today. I've got some more headlines for you. The share of babies in the United Kingdom born to migrant parents has reached 40%. No, it's never happened. It's all scare talk, we were told 25 years ago. It's happened. Now, why should we bother? Well, in one sense, serves you right. Just over one child per parent now. 2.1 is the minimum just for replacement. So come on, lazy Brits, get at it.
But I don't blame them. I was walking the dog the other day and bumped into a nice neighbour of mine who's also got a dog, and we were talking and chatting away. And he said, my girls have decided they're not going to have children. And I said, do you know what? I said, I in today's world, in this country, I can understand why. Because, I mean, the violence that's going on, I mean, it's just shocking what's going on. And, and is it going to stop? How will it stop? Will it stop? Are we going to have Putin and, blowing up the world? You just don't know. And I mean, I suppose with things with kids, you can overthink it and decide that, you can only deal with the world that you actually live in close quarters, can't you? But I can understand the reluctance, to be honest.
Well, that reluctance should apply to the foreign-born people in the United Kingdom, but doesn't seem to affect them.
No, we've got to look at some of the ones that are coming in. I mean, they're coming with 2 or 3 wives,
yes.
And they could have. And we are supporting the whole jolly family. We don't have polygamy here, so why do we let them in? I don't get it.
No. Well, let's go a bit further. I'll give you some actual figures. Last year, according to the Office of National Statistics, 585,000 births last year, and 235,000 were foreign born. Those are the figures. So where did they come from? Number 1, India. Number 2, Pakistan. Number 3, Nigeria.
Oh, yeah.
Number 4, Romania. Well, look, what's this going to do to our society? Let's ask the question. Let's dig in the right hole.
We're all going to be
Culturally.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? This is the whole thing. I was talking yesterday to, I've been asked to do this presentation. They wanted me to do a thing on being a prison nurse, right? So I do a lot with that. And it is interesting how the dynamic and the demographic, if you like, in prisons has enormously changed because of the violent figures that the violence that they are meting out. They're just feral, aren't they? They're just, trotting on. It's absolutely dreadful. And we were talking about the cultures, and I said, well, you must know, because I was talking to somebody who was a prison officer, and I said, it must be really difficult because a lot of these people, it was one time, you can't come into this country unless you could speak English, but they don't have a diddly squat clue. So now you've got to find somebody that speaks Urdu, someone that does something else, and Punjab and all of that, and you've got all that cost going on. But if you know yourself, I know when I went to Portugal, yes, I learned the language because I think you should do anyway, but you still go to a place with your humor, your food likes, your culture as you're brought up in it. And that's, you can't get rid of that. That's what's changing everything. And I saw somewhere the other day, and I think it was on GB News, I heard it, that there are now more illegal migrants in this country than we have in the military.
That's correct.
How frightening.
It
I mean,
is.
honestly, it's dreadful. There is no control. I saw this morning, there was a migrant guy who had tried to strangle a 15-year-old not so long ago, and they let him off, right? But last night in Burnley, broad daylight actually, in Burnley, he knifed a girl in the throat, a 15-year-old girl that was just walking down the street. And it's the same man that they let loose, it's just absolute.
Well, we keep saying things like this, Marilyn, week after week after week, and we also say the following. This is blood at the doorstep of number 10.
100%.
They could do something, he could do something, and he doesn't.
He doesn't want to. It's just awful. And now he's brought back in Morgan McSweeney.
Yes, that's breaking news today. He wants to stay there at all costs.
Oh, he is a classic tin dictator. He's like, yeah, he will hang on with gritted teeth if necessary. I mean, there's no way he's going to call an election. No way will he do that, even though he should. But he's determined to trash this country. And I think it's becoming so glaringly obvious to people that, there's something going on here.
Well, there's something going on Thursday of this week, as we know,
interesting, isn't it?
And that could be yet another watershed. And we can't comment on it before the election in detail. But one has to say the following: will literally Sir Keir be booed out of the country, or even worse, when he attends the local factory, when he does a formal occasion? I'm surprised now that there's not more riotousness, inverted commas,
yes.
Not physical, but showing displeasure at his presence.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, he's been chucked out of a load of pubs, hasn't he?
Yes.
But it is frightening. It's very, very scary. And
but it's difficult to find a person that likes him.
Well, I suppose his mother does. Is she still alive?
I don't know.
I still say I feel sorry for his kids. I'd want to go down a dark hole and stay there.
Well, we're going to move on to some even worse news. Latest news from the other side of the Atlantic, where a lot of research comes from. Don't panic, folks, when we say this, because a lot of us are in the same boat. But there's a lot of cautionary tales about how we were treated in the COVID. debacle. And there was panic everywhere, in some senses, justifiable panic. We have got to find a jab that will stop this killing us, because the death rate, because of various computers saying, oh, we're all going to die. They got it wrong with their modeling, as we know. But there was panic everywhere from top to bottom. And they said, we've got to go for a new strain. That's the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it is that, though,
of injection to combat this strain of virus.
Right.
We've not time to develop it, and we just got to shoot in the dark. And they came up with the mRNA configuration, as well as others that equally had negatives against them. But they reached a decision. Well, should we let it run riot, as they did in certain countries, Sweden? They only want to seriously do that. Small islands did it as well and got away with it. But Sweden was the biggie. And or should we take a chance on the jab? And ever since there, you've got speculation, people with some knowledge and no knowledge and good knowledge saying, beware, we've noticed a cancer hike, a big one, a big spike, if you wish. And it's been confirmed, especially for mRNA vaccines. And it's not been confirmed totally, so don't panic, folks. But there is an indication that if you've had Pfizer or Moderna, you're at higher risk. I've had the Pfizer one.
We had Moderna.
They are.
I think it was a lottery. I think it depended what the COVID station was sent.
Yes, I think.
But I'm not having another one. I am not having another one. I just when the time comes, I've made my mind up. I mean, I never felt vulnerable anyway. I'm pretty robust. I've never felt vulnerable. And my kids used to go mental when it was like, Mum, you shouldn't be going into Tesco and all that. I said, I never get flu. I never get a cold. You know, the worst thing I've got is hay fever at the moment. But it's, I'm just not going to have it done again. I mean, I just think when you read this stuff, it is, you think, crikey, thank God. You know, it didn't. Well, you don't know if it's impacting me. I mean, you know, I don't know. I just am not going to have it again. I just think.
Well, it was rushed
out. It was rushed out. It wasn't properly checked. And I mean, why would we believe anything anyone tells us from government? Why would
these days you wonder. As I say, I've been banned because of the strict diet that I'm on at the moment, and there are certain things, of course, you can find out now when everybody was anti these alternative drugs like ivermectin as an example. They're now saying, yeah, it has a place. You dead right, it has a place. And that was ridiculed by our elders and betters at the time. So a lot's going to be written about this. So I repeat, don't panic, folks. But there is growing hesitation. So unless you
see, did they have this in their archives anyway? Because rushing it out, did they have? I mean, how can you invent or create a vaccine when you don't know what the component parts of the virus are going to be?
Well, I'm not qualified to answer that question at all, but I mean, as from a layman's point of view, it's clear to me anyway that they considered it the lesser of two evils. So you can see the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, because I feel sorry for people that are in professions where you have to have it, or you know, when I'm doing interviews for NHS students, they always, one of the questions is, are you up to date with all your vaccines, etc., COVID jab, and and so if you didn't want it, then you lose your job, don't you?
Yeah, there is a tension there. We move swiftly on. The EU are showing signs of waking up to the immigration problem.
Yes.
Notice I say the EU, not Great Britain, not Keir Starmer. Okay, there's a Dutch lawmaker leading this exercise called Malik Asmani, and he's in charge of the European Parliament, the EU, investigating what's happening. Well, we can all tell him what's happening, but he's reaching the right conclusion. And although he doesn't use this language, Europe is being overrun by immigrants.
Yes.
And much the same as Britain, except Britain, of course, is leading the way because of the present and previous government. But it looks as though they're going to stop it. And I say stop it. It will be adjusted because they've realised, as we haven't, why are we obeying 50, 60 and 70-year-old laws, which are absolutely out of date in many ways? And they've already started amending the laws, ECHR. They're at it now. And Keir Starmer does nothing. Because
so they're actually changing ECHR, are they?
Yes, they're changing quite. The big section is I can't remember the number now, but there are certain ECHR laws that are ridiculous, and they're already changing these excessive parts of the ECHR. We won't do a blooming thing.
No, I know. So if they're excessively changing it, and of course ECHR is Keir Starmer's Bible, then he's got a problem, hasn't he?
Yes, we know he's got a problem.
But yeah, it's very true. But he's got a bigger problem because he's going to have to follow the new ECHR guidelines, isn't he?
Well, no, it's up to each individual country, actually, to...
Yes, it'll be very interesting to see how...
The EU have said, Ursula has said, all right, you've got a bit of autonomy, not a lot. We're going to let you because we realise, Ursula realises as head honcho, it's bad. We've got to do something about it. They're overrunning. They're overrunning the country. The Marxists are overrunning Europe. The Muslims are running Europe. It's a pincer movement, and it's killing society.
It is. I mean, they have to do something about it because, as you say, you lose your identity, and
that's what they want.
I know, but it's dreadful. It is absolutely dreadful. And I mean, Poland never let them in, did they? But they had to pay money, did they not, to Europe or ECHR or something, didn't they?
There's always a way. It's the will that we don't have.
Oh, absolutely right. Absolutely
and again,
right.
The stats are interesting. Mr. Anzamiz has highlighted that 28% of the rejected asylum seekers only return to their country of origin. Actually, it's 24% in Britain. We keep more of them, but 28% is astonishing for the whole of Europe. In other words, they're staying in Europe. They find it difficult to get them out the way. Well, of course they do, because their country of origin doesn't accept them back. Well, therefore, send them to Africa.
That's absolutely right. We'll send them anywhere. But you see, I still say they never gave the Rwanda scheme. They never gave it a chance.
They didn't want to.
They didn't want to. Absolutely. The money had been paid. It had all been signed. They could have tried it for 6 months and see if it was working. They have assumed it wasn't a deterrent. I think it was a deterrent. But, it's what a waste of money. They didn't, and they go on, oh, what a waste of money it was. No, it's a waste of money because you didn't darn well try it.
It could be resurrected now for nuppence because
Yes.
all the money's been paid out.
Yes, but they won't do it.
No,
They won't do it. There
no
is no
intention.
deterrent. And they're going on about, nothing. I mean, I think it was, well, was it a shock? I think he was right. John Healy and the other guy, L. Khan, to move away. And I thought, well, this is interesting. They've both jumped ship. Now, that's very interesting. Is there you always think all the time, is there some sort of conspiracy theory? Because that's, but you can't, if you didn't keep giving these freebies out, you would have the money to build up the military. I mean, and they're leaving in their droves from the SAS because they don't obviously want to be prosecuted for doing their job.
Yeah. Oh, no, if you want to analyse it and factualise it, our Prime Minister is a globalist. He wants everybody in the same pot.
Yeah.
He wants his version of Marxism to take over, whereby the state is in control completely. And he's almost achieved it.
I mean, the Fabian thing comes to mind as well, doesn't it?
All part of it. They've had this for over a century. Let's give you some more good news, shall we? Everybody's favourite person, Chief Constable Alexis Boone of, the Chief Constable of Hampshire and Isle of Wight. We were under his curtilage, being from the Isle of Wight originally. Never really got across the Solent. The police force on the island was generally very good. They had perhaps less control from Hampshire, but he is still having mandatory race awareness training, DEI, and of course this very day it has been announced that West Yorkshire Police, and they're not the only constabularies throughout the country, most now are following DEI training. And indeed, West Yorkshire have actually got 19 officers, stroke civilian DEI trainers. And we have found out basically that it's outsourcing. These are outsourced companies that come in to a employer, and in this case, the police, and take over DEI training. Now, it gets worse because they stand there, and very interesting today on GB News. Congratulations, GB News. 5 years. Happy birthday.
Yes.
Well, Stephen Dixon happened to mention, while discussing something similar to this, that from a previous employer, Sky News, he didn't say that. I'll say that, Sky News, he had to regularly go under the DEI hammer. There you go. And when you watch Sky News Australia and compare Sky News UK, boy, can you see diversity.
Yes, you can. I mean, I used to do a lot of work with Sky News, and then they just sort of dropped me, and I don't know whether they changed hands or whatever. I don't know. The best person, who I think is utterly brilliant, is off to America, being given a job. So Trevor Phillips.
Yes.
He's leaving. I love watching him on a Sunday morning. He completely fillets people if they are in any way dodgy. He's so good at what he does. And I don't know where he's going to, but he's moving across the pond. He's been offered a job.
Well, there you go. Right, back to West Yorkshire, etc. The thing with all these outsourced DEI places, they're paid a fortune, up to £100,000. Now, you think of the NHS and how big that is and how much money is being wasted, billions. And dare one say, it's killing people. A la Henry sadly. And many,
DEI is going to kill us. It is, and look at the damage it's doing. Where you've got the serious crimes like rapes and stabbings, serious. You know, like as you say with Henry, this poor girl in Burnley last night stabbed in the throat. I mean, it's just dreadful that this DEI thing, and then they walk free. The number of people that have walked out of court free because they've they've raped or assaulted someone, and oh yes, they're black. You know, it is. It's plain to see, it's clear to see, and it is going to kill us. It really will. Because people they've lost their way. It's crazy. And then you get people that read it the wrong way, or they are extreme with the DEI. That guy, he shouldn't be, honestly, he should have stepped down as chief constable. He's dreadful. Well, I don't know how he's still there in post. I really don't.
Just for a while, let's just consider what we're really talking about here. Because at the center of all this is the phrase unconscious bias.
Oh, yes.
Now, if you analyze it, let me say what that means. It says that if you are biased and say, I don't like that black person, that's conscious bias.
Yes.
If, on the other hand, you're the vast majority that don't say that, wouldn't even think it, that's unconscious bias. In other words, everybody's biased. Everybody should feel guilty over slavery, over every black person that lives within and without the curtilage of the United Kingdom. You can't lose. What is this? It's called, in anybody's sane mind, madness.
Well, it is madness. I mean, how can you? I mean, slavery is dreadful, but it still goes on today in this country because you've got certain people that have maids, people that are like kept in sheds and stuff like that. It's still going on. Of course, it's awful, but you can't go around like Lenny Henry goes on about people being, remunerated for it because no one knew then. In fact, we were the first country to stop slavery. So it's absolutely bonkers. You can't go back that far back. Everybody thinks it's dreadful, but it happened. There's lots of things that are dreadful. World War II was dreadful. World War I was dreadful. You can't go around compensating to everyone because of something that happened in history, whether it was right or whether it was wrong.
Well, in essence, the fundamentals here is it's a big money-making machine for the DEI specialists. And you can't win if you're unconscious or you're conscious, you're biased. It's ludicrous. Talk about emperor's new clothes. It's ludicrous.
But you can't, the thing is, I think there's a fine line between, you're always having to check yourself, aren't you, with this unconscious bias? You have opinions, of course you do, and you have thoughts, of course you do. But if you get to the point where you can't express those, which means that someone actually might think, oh, actually, I hadn't thought of it that way. Oh, maybe you're right. You can't have those sort of discussions anymore because you might be, you might be consciously biased or in another way, the word you're using is, I suppose, judgmental.
Yes, you can't be judgmental. Everybody can do what they want, really. Never mind if it damages another human being.
Exactly.
We can't be judgmental.
No.
No, it's a quick cop-out, isn't it?
It is.
And we are going to come across some good news, folks, eventually. This is not the time. There's more bad news. And, oh dear, there's a guy who's aged 93. He's called Michael Phillips. And he's been running children's home in the north of England.
Oh, yes.
For a long time, many decades. He was challenged in 2001 and put in prison for 7 years for child abuse in one of his homes. Then he came out and carried on. I say 7 years in prison. That was the sentence, not what he actually served. And guess what? He was head honcho of another child's home. Oh, really? Well, he's 93. And he has deemed to be unfit for trial. Now,
Oh,
it could be dementia, it could be anything, we are not told. Therefore, he didn't appear in court. So it's a trial with jury, but the judge could not sentence anybody that was seen to be incapable. So she had two options. One was hospital, the other was close supervision. And either will cost a fortune. And she worked this out and said, well, I've only got one other choice. What's that? Let him off.
I know.
And he was in attendance at this court case from his armchair by video link. I mean, how bizarre are you going to get? But
So what's going to happen to him? So he's been let loose. So he's still. I mean, he's dreadful. You should never be too old to be put in prison. I mean, he could go into a secure unit.
Well, I mean, this is awful, and one has to be careful with what we say. But putting it plainly, it's been highlighted for the fact that his assistant, Linda Bruning, his accomplice, she was holding the kids still while he was having his pleasures. Can you imagine anything more awful? She, aged 66, has got 25 years.
Well, thank God she has. But but then he should have got the same and died in prison.
There we are.
Because if he couldn't give evidence, and she has, which supports the allegations, then he's guilty then, isn't he?
Right, let's take that last word, guilty. What's this all about? Well, I'll tell you what it's all about. Why was that guy, before 2001, when he was put in prison, allowed to carry on for decades? Don't tell me that people working with him and for him weren't aware of what was going on. Why did the authorities let him get into that position with another children's home and have another 20 years joy?
I know.
At the expense
it is dreadful. I mean, because back then you didn't have you had criminal record checks. Back then, I'm just trying to think, I don't think you had the DBS, which was the disclosure barring system. You did have a criminal record check, record checks, CRB checks, yeah? So why weren't those done? I mean, all his nefarious sentences would have been on there. So why on earth would you put him then in another care home? I mean, who was responsible for that?
And who is the guilty? Those people who knew it was carried on.
Yes.
Don't care whether you're called Savile or whatever you're called.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. People keep their mouths shut.
They do.
And their eyes shut.
You're third party guilty because you played a part. So that nurse, or whoever she was that hold those children down, he should have gone to prison, because even if he couldn't give evidence in court, she basically gave the evidence that she was supporting him by doing this.
Yes.
And on that, she's been given 25 years. So basically, he should be going in there and rot in hell. Then you think, when he comes out, I mean, is he now living on Civvy Street, or has he gone to a secure unit? Because people will find him.
He's left there in his armchair. That's it. You're free. Literally, you are free.
Well, I don't think he'll be alive for very long.
Well, probably not with
people make it their business. The most hated crime in the world is actually paedophilia, and rightly so.
Yes, this is why we get uptight a little bit. Let's move on for some good news before we go. Time has run out. Folks, do you realise the state of your forks? Folks, do you realise the state of your forks? Have you noticed forks, as in knives and forks?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that they're getting blunter? It's harder to poke your sausages.
I can't honestly say I have the time to notice.
You don't. Well, I'll
No.
tell you what, we've been doing our mini survey on this channel. You're unique, madam. Everybody says, yeah, they're not sharp. I have to really plug at them. We found now we initially thought this is the EU with their bent banana policy. They've got to conform. It isn't. They're guiltless. It's the only thing we found that they're guiltless. And apparently, there are a number of reasons why your fork is not as sharp as they used to be. Number one, it's the manufacturing, because they get a big sheet of stainless steel.
Yeah.
And it's pressed out individually.
All right.
By clever machine. And because of the sort of stainless steel they use, it doesn't produce sharpness at the tips of each prong.
Right.
Okay. In the old days, they used to forge them. And that means you could sharpen the ends that you didn't have to use. You're too strong, madam, by the way. It's your strength. You can prod a sausage very quickly. Well, a lot of us can't. Until we get back to the forged fork ends. Now, if you're getting bored, stay with it.
How do you sharpen a fork, for goodness sake?
Yeah, well, you can if it's forged, because the metal is made at different temperatures.
But what do you sharpen it on?
Oh, they have a machine. You know, just and it's they heat it up obviously in the forging. So you can still get these, but you have to pay, my goodness me, for that sort of stainless steel forging, because it's not easy. Stainless steel is difficult, but it doesn't rust. That's why we like it.
Well, I get my fork stuck in the knife drawer. That's the trouble. I have to sort of like, I have bent forks. They bend all right. I tell you, when they get stuck.
Well, that's because they use very thin sheets of stainless steel to press them out. Anyway, if you are prepared to pay for something, you can get that done. But the other thing, of course, manufacturers are not keen to have very sharp forks, because there's that much health and safety in existence. People are only too ripe for getting at you and suing you. So it's a vicious circle.
Try buying a knife. Oh, my word. You try buying a knife online from Amazon or anything like that, just a kitchen knife, a paring knife or something like that. You have to give your evidence, proof of your age and everything else. It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous. I tried buying that. I've tried it twice now. I think, you know what? I cannot be bothered to go and get all my documentation to show Amazon that, you know, or anybody, it doesn't matter who it is, you know, Dunelm, wherever, you have to prove you're your age. And how's that going to stop anyone? Your grandson could come around, or your son
exactly.
and take a knife. I mean, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, you know, here am I with blunt knives because you can't get replacements.
I can't understand why by that reasoning, why they've not stopped us purchasing scissors, because you can get long hair scissors that'll do just as much damage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there was somebody stabbed the other day with scissors. Oh, golly, who was it? It was I heard on a court case. Yeah, of course you can. Anything sharp, you know. Well, you know, you can chisel away the end of a toothbrush and make it just as effective. You learn a lot of tricks when you go around visiting prisoners.
Yes. I'm thinking of electronic toothbrush. No, don't even go there. Listen, we've come to the end. We've got to leave you on really good news. Is that about dear old GB News? Wow, in the early days, we watched it from the early days. We saw that this was, well, new, different, and it is and was. It was quite frankly so amateurish at the beginning. It was worthwhile watching it for the glitches. And we did. The sound was awful. At times it's not much better. Now but they just didn't get anything right. And but it succeeded. And it's only succeeded, again, we've mentioned this on previous programs, because somebody came along with a lot of money. They saw how important it was to get the truth or the other side of the story, call it what you will, out there. And sure enough, it's become the leading news channel. Well done, guys, for all the things you got wrong.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the particular bunch of millionaires, perhaps billionaires, that have come along and rescued the situation. There's no news channel in existence that is not a vanity project or a punt to give the customer some news, because it's impossible to make money out of news. It's too expensive. And they've done it with the help of the millionaires and billionaires. So happy birthday. It's 5 years. May you go on for a lot longer.
And they're so good at breaking news. They're the first people to get it. And they've got some very good researchers. It's very good. I know. I was very pleased. I couldn't believe it's 5 years. Incredible.
Well, as we said at the beginning of this conversation, time goes quick, doesn't it, when you get ancient? And from these two ancients, we'll see you very shortly.
Bye for now.